Hello, hello. Welcome to another Wednesday, another episode of Umineko. Yeah. Today's gonna be another big one with some interesting stuff. I can't really say anything other than that without giving stuff away, and it's much better if you find out, when you're along for the ride. Hope you're all doing good. Welcome to the stream. Let me start you off with a recap, and then we're going to go over the content warning because there's been a little update, and I want to be very clear as to why. I think I mentioned that before a couple times, but yeah, that's all good. All right. So, wait, you know what? I'm going to start up the game first. Because otherwise you're just looking at a black screen the whole time. And that's kind of boring. We can do better than that on this very professional stream. And I say that sarcastically. Alright, here comes the moment where I have to click. Hello, Cat. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I'm having a good evening because I get to read more Umineko, which is always great. Let me. Oh, the title to this one. Oh boy. Perfect ends it any day. Absolutely, I agree. Alright, so last time, Will and Leon, mostly Will, were talking to the cousins. And in the process of that, wait, the title does what now? What do you mean, Cat? Last time, Will talks with the cousins. Oh. Now it says here's the culprit, not he's the culprit. So, yeah. It's tiny text and hard to read, so don't worry about it. But yes, to be clear, chapter title is Here's the Culprit. Does that mean we're gonna one-to-one find out who the culprit is? Listen, you've been here for what, 7 arcs already? Come on, you know that's not gonna happen. Thankfully too, because that would be an anticlimax. No, it's not gonna happen quite like that. What we did find out last time though, is that Maria had a rough childhood, as we know, is having a rough childhood at this very moment, actually, considering she's a kid and having a rough time. But as a result of that, started having some interesting ideas about her identity and her place in the world, shall we say. Partially encouraged by a priest who said, well, Jesus didn't have a dad either, like, I mean, Jesus had a dad, but in the physical sense, because, like, God was his dad, right? So it's like, only born of a woman, you know what? I'm not very religious, even though, I'm from a pretty Catholic area. Anyway. Basically, Maria came to the conclusion that she is a holy child. Special. A child of God. Jesus' own dad according to the Bible? I read a couple comic books like that. Anyway. I love Wednesdays. My favorite day of the week. Yeah, so she, for a while, considered herself above others, and pretty much exclusively because Rosa kind of treats her like garbage. And because she doesn't have a dad. And at that point, though, when she was considering this and felt herself being, felt like she was more important than other people, she met Beatrice on the island, on Rokanjima, and they became friends. And at that point, Maria's world opened up a little more, and she gained some understanding for other people, and, realized that, hey, there's other people who are valuable and smart in the world and that kind of stuff. While also getting a bit of a confidence boost, but like a real one. And that's partially also where her love for the occult comes from. Which she already had, but that definitely got encouraged by Beatrice. But Beatrice also made sure to basically kind of look after her and say, like, you gotta make sure to brush your teeth and wash your hands and all that stuff that kids need to do for hygiene reasons and all that, so that was very heartwarming. Then we talked to Jessica as well, who told us essentially a ghost story that she herself personally experienced in the house, where she heard a rumor about the VIP room that Beatrice shows up there at 2 a.m. She went into the room at 2 a.m. There was a creepy doll in the room. Then she got a phone call, and during this phone call, which was in the VIP room at 2 a.m., she heard Maria singing, and talking as if she were talking to Beatrice. At that point, the power cuts out. She hears something get up out of bed, the bed in the room, and when the lights come back on, the doll is gone. Completely missing. So that's pretty spooky. And I think that, honestly, those are two very long conversations with not a whole lot of info last week. Now that I think about it, not a lot happened. And at the same time, there are a lot of hints. There are so many clues. Oh my god, there are so many clues. So that's, if you figure things out, and you kind of want to have that oh shit moment where you realize the foreshadowing was there all along, that's the episode to watch, last week's episode. It's all gonna fall, like, a lot of things are gonna click and make sense. Alright. That was last week. This is this week. I'm gonna start off with our content warnings. Content warning 4. Character deaths, detailed descriptions of gore and body horror, child abuse, discussion and mentions of incest, discussion and mentions of suicide, characters struggling with gender dysphoria, and misogyny. Now you know that the gender dysphoria part is a new one, and the reason that's in there is because I very well understand that if you're dealing with that, you might not be in the mood for a story where a character is heavily dealing with that. And actually really like struggling with it. So if you're not, if you're not up for listening to a story about that, which is what we're going to be dealing with today, look after yourself. Take it easy. Find something more lighthearted to, occupy yourself with, and maybe at some point try, give the story a try, because it is I don't know, this one helped me figure out some stuff, and I also have to say, I don't recall to what extent the character deals with it in the story. So, this could be way milder than I'm making it out to be, I just wanted to be on the safe side just in case, because I remember having a bit of a rough time with it myself, so that's why that's in there. And Kat, I do believe that the song that Maria sings is the same song that she sings in the first episode, when the others get murdered in the room, where she's just casually singing while staring at the wall because Beatrice told her to. So yeah. With all that said, I'm gonna drink some tea. Because I still don't have a handle on Leon's voice and I need to refresh myself on it for a second. It was very bland. Because I try to keep the characters that talk a lot, I try to keep them like more simple so that I don't strain my voice too hard. Yeah, I don't think the VIP room is mentioned until episode 2. So that was, because I believe the VIP room is on the 2nd floor, and the room they were in was on the 1st floor, but that might just be from the horrible, horrible anime. So I could be wrong about that. Is it the parlor? I don't think it's the parlor. Maybe it is the parlor, I'm not sure. Yeah, because there's a TV, isn't there? Yeah, I think it's the parlor. It's just I don't think the wallpaper in the CG for that matches with the actual parlor wallpaper that's used throughout the rest of the game. I'd have to double check. Why do I remember these things? I have no clue. Maybe I'm wrong. Also possible. Alright. So, did you figure out... I'm in the wrong window. So this text isn't scrolling. Did you figure out who killed Beatrice? Yeah. More or less. I hope you're not going to suggest that the head killed her. Berncastle isn't talking about the 2 Beatrices involved with Kinzo. She's talking about who killed the 1986 Beatrice. I'm not really sure what you mean by this year's Beatrice. What's all this about a witch called Beatrice? You've mentioned a ghost story. You've mentioned an epitaph. Isn't it about time you explain all this to me? Alright. No point stringing you along. Let's start from the beginning. Who is this witch Beatrice? Strictly speaking, it isn't a person. Was that... Okay, no, that was Leon talking. I fucking knew it. Sorry about that. I can't read. Beatrice, the Golden Witch, is the name of a concept. You mean the ghost stories themselves? To be more specific, even the ghost stories are only one of the elements that create the concept. You lost me. Ghost stories are normally told in a 3rd person or 2nd person. However, someone started telling those in the 1st person. You mean someone started saying that they were Beatrice themselves? The legend of Rokanjima's evil spirits, and the made-up story for keeping kids out of the forest. These were combined with Kinzo's constant cries of Beatrice, Beatrice, and gradually became the legend of the legend of the witch. Ishinomiya Maria became entranced by that fictional witch and begged for a chance to meet her. And then, someone granted her a wish. Still not following, but I'll just nod and tell you to keep going. What do you mean by granted her wish? I feel like that's a really straightforward thing that Will just said, but, okay, you do you, kiddo. Because of the unfortunate way in which Ushinomiya Maria was brought up, she became obsessed with the occult. Someone felt sympathy for her, acted the part of Beatrice, and played with her. Maria tends to recognize people by their behavior instead of their physical appearance. When Rosa becomes violent, Maria calls her the Black Witch, and at these times, Maria views her as a different person, not her mother. So, this means that she tends to think of the same person as different people depending on their behavior. We can use this to see the scene where Maria first met Beatrice in a new light. After being chased out of the mansion by the adults, Maria decided to drink some tea in the rose garden. At that time, someone probably started talking to Maria. Then, when they heard this occult-loving girl talking happily about how she wanted to meet the witch Beatrice, this person acted as though Beatrice was possessing them. On the outside, they didn't look like Beatrice. However, when their manner of speech and behavior changed abruptly, Maria would recognize them as a different person. That's why her appearance was so sudden. We can probably view Maria's love of witches and the occult as a form of escapism. She believed in the power of witches. She believed the power of witches could change her unfulfilling and incomplete life. So she wanted to believe in them. Because if she believed in witches, she could also believe in her own happiness. Oh, fuck, when you put it that way, well, Jesus. I just got hit with a big wave of feelings that make me really, mostly sad feelings that Maria's just, you know, having a rough life, like I said. Though she herself doesn't experience it that way. Not always, at least. Yeah, I mean, she did tell Anja, like, there were a lot of good moments too, and, you know, I'm fine on my own even at times. Though I feel like that's debatable, and you can't really trust a 9-year-old to tell you that. But, still, it wasn't all bad. It's true that Aunt Rosa is bringing up Maria by herself, and that she's always busy with work. I do feel sorry for Maria, but still. Yeah, I think when it comes to Anja's view and Maria's view, the truth is in the middle. So they're both like half right, half wrong. Anyway, don't ignore the heart. So, Maria believed for the sake of believing. She believed in Beatrice's simple conjuring trick from the bottom of her heart. That probably comforted her a lot. And at that moment, the witch Beatrice was born. Someone saw that Maria-chan wanted to meet a witch, so they decided to play witches with her. That's right. This marks the birth of Beato the Elder. All of that about living 1,000 years and being bound to Rokkenjima. That was all the result of mixing the legend of the Rokkenjima's evil spirits with the story of a ghost wandering the mansion at night. As Furudo Erika guessed, the two ghost stories fused. Someone fused the two stories together and acted the part. So, Beatrice held traits from both ghost stories. She was the master of the mansion's night, while also fearing spiderwebs. So, when Bernkastel asked us who killed Beatrice, she means who killed the kind person who pretended to be Beatrice? That's close, but not quite. It's not the one who pretended. We're talking about two different people. In Maria's eyes, just like how her mother and the Black Witch are different people, Beatrice and the person who played that part are also different people. It's just like mariage sorcière. Don't know why that was so hard for me to pronounce. That was where one person would be the creator, and the other person would acknowledge those creations, and thereby nurturing the illusion. The Golden Witch Beatrice was also created by one person, and then nurtured when Maria acknowledged her. You mean, even if you kill the acted character, that doesn't mean you've killed the kind person who's playing the part? Even if Beatrice's vessel is lost, that isn't the same as Beatrice being killed. It's easier to understand if we use a telephone as an example. Let's say I call you on the phone. From my perspective during the call, the phone is you, in the sense that it is what I talk to. But what if I destroy the phone? I see. If you killed the phone, you won't be able to talk to me, but that doesn't mean you've killed me. We know Maria once offered to let Beatrice possess her, early on in their relationship. That clearly shows that Beatrice did not look like the portrait at that time. So, if the person acting the part and the witch character they play are different people, we're talking about killing just the witch character itself. Is that even possible? Only the actor could kill the character. In other words, the person who killed Beatrice is the person who played the part of Beatrice. You mean that the person who played witches with Maria-chan is the culprit Bernkastel's talking about? That's it. But, as if this wasn't confusing enough, this chapel is now a world inside a cat box. The culprit is the cat, and there are now two cats existing at the same time. One alive, and one dead. Confusing is right. I'm still lost, but keep going. You're saying that there are two culprits. Right. The person who can create and kill Beatrice, and the person who never gave birth to Beatrice in the first place, who can kill the entire concept of Beatrice. Both of those people are here. Then, let me ask. In this Beatrice murder case, who are the two culprits? Let's start with the dead cat. Who is it? You. What? What? The logic is extremely simple. Your world is the only one where the witch Beatrice doesn't exist. I don't understand. Both Maria and Jessica told me stories about the witch Beatrice. However, when they talked about the ranking system at the dining table, you weren't there. I wasn't there? Maria came to visit Rokkanjima with Rosa, and Rosa was sitting next to her. That's impossible. If you exist, then after Rosa comes you, then Jessica, then Maria. There should be two people between Rosa and Maria in rank. In that case, they should be across the table from each other and separated by one seat. In other words, in the world where Leon exists, it is impossible for Maria to be sitting next to Rosa. It was the same in Jessica's story. If you're included in the ranking, then when looking down the table towards Kinzo's seat, you should be on the left side and Jessica should be on the right. After that comes George on the left side and Anje on the right. Jessica and Anje will be sitting next to each other whether you're there or not. However, which side of the table they're sitting on changes. In the world where Leon exists, Anje's seat is on Jessica's left. However, if Leon doesn't exist, then Anje's seat is on Jessica's right. Every time someone talked about the witch Beatrice of 1986, they were all talking about a world where you don't exist. And, in your world, there are no ghost stories about a witch. To you, Beatrice is either Kinzo's mistress or his benefactor, not a wandering ghost. The head loved Beatrice deeply, did he not? I can't imagine why she would be made into a ghost story. Exactly. If you exist, the witch Beatrice doesn't. Your existence kills Beatrice. Are you saying I'm the culprit who killed Beatrice? That's just crazy. How can I be the culprit if I don't even understand her and I have never met her? Flip it around. If you don't exist, Beatrice will be born. Flip it. Are you trying to say Beatrice and I are two sides of a coin? That's a good way to put it. That's it exactly. You're a coin, and Beatrice is on the other side. I don't get it at all. At first, I didn't get your existence either. But I have formed a theory about you after hearing all this. The important fact is that you're 19 years old. I don't remember telling you my age, but you got it right. How? Jessica said that you're already the student council vice president when she started, and that you became the president the next year. That means you're 1 year older than Jessica. Jessica's 18 years old, so Leon must be 19. I see. And what sort of theory can you make now that you know I'm 19? You aren't Shiromi and Natsuhi's child. That's the theory. How rude. I don't know what game you're playing, but I demand that you take back that slanderous insult to both me and my mother. Why are you the successor to the headship, instead of Kraus? I will succeed the headship when I come of age. When I have a kid, I'll probably pass the title down to them when they come of age. Then, why didn't Kinzo give the headship to Kraus when he came of age? You heard what our head said. He was used by the cunning elders of the Ushiromiya family and suffered much. That's why he decided that only young people should inherit the headship from now. In the world without you in it, the silver ring for the successor to the headship doesn't even exist. That silver ring on your finger proves that Kinzo has a strong desire to see that you become the next head. A desire which does not manifest in any other world. I can't deny that you may have a point there. The head always seemed to adore me particularly. I was told from a young age that I would succeed the headship at once when I became an adult, and that it was very important for me to keep up with my studies in preparation for that day. But I don't think my father was any less talented. Actually, I'm not sure I don't... I mean... There's the whole NASA thing, you know? Like, yeah, I don't... I feel like, yeah, Kraus could probably be outdone by like a... say, 5-year-old. I feel like that's, yeah. Full offense to Kraus. Because, wow. He made some real dumb choices. But, yeah. He would be better at boxing. But, you know, he's got Jessica for that. She can be his successor when it comes to punching. And then Leon can take over for the business. Why did grandfather skip over him and make me the successor? I've thought it strange from time to time, but since it's always been that way, I'd never said so aloud. Do you know why Kinzo wanted you and not Kraus to become the next head? How could I know? Are you trying to tell me to stop ignoring the heart again? Tell me, what deduction can you make about how the head's heart works? It's because you're the child of Kinzo and Beatrice. She's back. Well done. There was a crisp applause and a mocking laugh. Bernkastel. That was faster than I expected. I thought you'd let me play a bit longer. Bernkastel appeared sitting on the altar, almost as though it had become her own personal chair. When did you realize that Leon shared Beatrice's blood? As soon as I realized that Leon was 19. It was the same number as the baby from 19 years ago, that hint which appeared in the 5th game. Didn't that baby fall off a cliff? Leon is the baby who was accepted by Natsuhi and didn't fall off the cliff. In other words, if Natsuhi rejects the baby, Leon doesn't exist. You're saying I'm not Mom's child? That's insane! You say that, but you don't look too sure. That's right. Ishiromi and Leon is not Natsuhi's child. This is the grown-up version of the baby Kinzo got from somewhere 19 years ago. Not somewhere. Leon clearly shares Beatrice's blood. The proof is the silver ring, which is only ever given to Leon across all of the many worlds. Why does the ring prove that I share Beatrice's blood? In all of the many worlds, you are the only one who was given it. That means that, in all worlds, you are the most important person to Kinzo, second only to Beatrice. Did that baby come from the orphanage? Question mark? Sorry, I know I left that. I just dunked that question in there and left you hanging, but it was because I was finishing my tea. That was not like for dramatic effect. I mean, yeah, that's what was said. That's where the baby came from. And, well, I'm trying to remember if it's brought up that that baby might not be from the orphanage. Because I vaguely remember Natsuhi being, like, uncertain where the child actually came from. I might be wrong, though. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. But, you know, do keep in mind, sometimes characters lie. And sometimes they don't. And, you know, even in this section, it might not all be true. Especially when Burncastle comes into play. But, yeah. It was when Kinzo was talking to Natsuhi. Yeah, I mean, I think it is explicitly said that the baby comes from the orphanage. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you think about that and not say anything more. I'm not doing it like just to be mean. I just don't want to accidentally. I don't want to accidentally spoil anything and, like, you know, take the big Eureka moment away from you or stuff like that. Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely go ahead. It's awesome. Like I've said many times, I love hearing your theories and your thoughts. So. But yeah, it's hard for me to not try it. It's difficult for me to avoid saying too much. I bring this up almost every episode as well. But the closer we get to, like, the end, the more careful I have to be. Alright. You are the most important person to Kinzo, second only to Beatrice. And his love for you is far greater than it is for his son, Kraus, or his granddaughter, Jessica. And you are 19 years old. In other words, if we look back to see what happened 19 years ago, we are led to one theory. 19 years ago? What's supposed to have happened at the time I was born? You heard it too, didn't you? Today, even. Will was with you. You don't mean... Aunt Rosa's story? That's right. Rosa's story came out in the 3rd game, and when the age of the baby in the 5th game matched that date, a certain theory became possible. The fact that Kinzo brought a baby from somewhere and tried to add it to his family proves that the baby was somehow important to him. Oh, thank you, Will, for saying it so that I don't have to. I'm the Kuadorian Beatrice's child. The Kuadorian Beatrice was the daughter of the Beatrice who came in the submarine. But Kinzo didn't think of her as a daughter. He believed she was the same person, Beatrice reborn. When that reincarnation reached the same age as the first Beatrice, it truly looked like Beatrice's double. Kinzo made a terrible mistake. don't want to hear it.
That's how it is. Kinzo got Beatrice pregnant with Beatrice, and then he got that Beatrice pregnant with you. So, you're both Kinzo's child and Beatrice's grandchild.
If we consider Kinzo's heart, this is the inevitable theory we reach for, explaining why he treated you so specially. He regretted his mistake so badly that he attempted to have you formally accepted into the Ushinomiya family as a descendant.
In almost all cases, Natsuhi's pride is brutally hurt, and she refuses to raise you. Because of that, you almost always fall from the cliff and disappear.
I was told that after their marriage, I was born after much hardship, and Jessica was born the next year. If you really never suspected that Natsuhi wasn't your mother, then you should thank her in this world. The reason you never realized the truth is because she's shown as much affection for you as she did for Jessica.
There's no need to thank her. After all, it took a staggering amount of effort just to find a fragment with you in it. Mathematically speaking, there's actually a
2,500,000. I can't read. I don't know numbers. Why are you doing this to me, Vern? Why? Oh my god, thank you, Kat.
2,578,916 chance out of 2,578,917 chance of her refusing to raise you. You should probably be thanking me for creating this miracle, not Natsuhi.
Always with the numbers. And so, the reason for that is, part of the reason for that is, mostly numbers kind of go in Dutch in my head for me, in a weird way. I don't know how to explain. But like, I have to translate it, and then I have to translate it back into numbers. I don't know how to explain why it works that way, it just does. And then on top of that, I swap numbers around. So like, if you write down like 58, I will usually read it as 85. Stuff like that. So then the longer the number, the more swapping happens. So I get really confused really quickly. And I know for a fact that I'm recording this right now for throwing on YouTube later. So then it's just, I cave under the pressure. My brain is like, no, you can't do this in public. Oh well. Thank you for the help, Kat. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know why my brain does this, but it's really weird and complicated. And it's always kind of been that way. Anyway, I agree with Will, because you made me say numbers. Enough with your stupid probability games.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No matter whose blood you bear, that doesn't change the debt you owe to the family that raised you.
I realize that. Still, I'd like some time to calm down and think things through. That is, if you'll do me the kindness of not ignoring my heart.
Sure. Leon took a deep breath and looked upwards. Anyone would be shocked to find that their parents weren't who they believed them to be. But all the same, Leon, you're allowed to feel grateful. Grateful to the family who raised you and met your every need. It is pretty interesting. Hard to believe that the Golden Witch Beatrice might have lived such an ordinary life, even at absurdly low probabilities.
Isn't it? I think moments like this are hilarious.
Yeah, I bet you do, Bern. Will had said it plainly. Ushinomiya Leon is how the Golden Witch Beatrice appears in a different world. The baby Natsuhi rejected 19 years previous. If she accepts that child, this is the future that results. However, if she does not accept it, a witch is born. The baby whose birth was not celebrated becomes a witch. Leon is the dead cat. However, Leon's existence has nothing to do with what you're interested in, the Rokkenjima serial murders. In other words, Leon is the cat that disappears when you open the cat box.
Exactly. Leon is just a disappearing cat. But this was a pretty entertaining diversion, don't you think?
You're the only one who finds it entertaining. If I wasn't trapped in here, I wouldn't have bothered to reason this out.
I think I know why I was chosen to be your partner in this strange detective game. It seems this Bernkastel witch enjoys toying with people's fates and making a mockery of them. Wow. Incredible. It's rare for someone to understand me the same day they meet me. Apparently, I become something that's called a witch in another world. And apparently, I'm the cause of some sort of crime. Is that my sin to bear?
Of course it isn't. You are you. How things would be if the coin were flipped the other way shouldn't matter a bit.
Thank you. Even so, to be told that I caused some sort of trouble in a world of a different fate, I don't think anyone would be pleased to hear that. Please, tell me. What do I do in that other world?
Bernkastel.
You have the fragments. Why not show them?
Will opened his hand, and something that looked like a pale blue, glowing shard of crystal appeared there. It contained the memories, no, the records of all the games so far. Touch this. You'll be able to see your fate in other worlds.
I'll be happier not touching it. It's what your face is telling me.
Of course. I'm sure you guessed this, but it isn't pretty.
Even so, even if it is another world, it's still about me.
You have both the right to know and the right not to know. If you can convince yourself that what you're seeing is a person similar to, yet different from you, that it is not you but someone else, then go ahead and touch it.
You want to know, don't you? About the path that fate could have chosen for you.
I ask this as your partner. Would you show that to me? As your partner, I'd say look. But as a friend, I'd say don't.
Unfortunately, I'm not your friend.
Then, as a partner, I have one last question.
What?
Are you a man or a woman?
That came out of nowhere.
I could see you as a fairly slender boy, but then again, I could also see you as a no-nonsense sort of girl. Even Berncastle has been intentionally keeping it a secret. She made Jessica call you the future heir all the time, and instead of big brother or big sister, instead of big brother or big sister.
You're quick. People often ask me about my gender. It's become quite frustrating, so I always give the same response. Which do you think I look like?
In the 5th game, you're treated as a man. But in countless other games, you're thought of as a woman. In the 6th game, when Ushiromiya Battler was the master, 2 demons of different sexes appeared, but we didn't know which was which, referencing this again. In fact, strictly speaking, it started all the way back in the very first game. Your gender is one of the hidden mysteries that exists outside the games themselves.
Having to say it straight out frustrates me, so I won't give you an answer. We're partners, right? Does it really matter if I'm not the gender you'd prefer?
You're right. We're working together on this. I don't care what your gender is.
Thank you. I formed a bit of a complex about it, so your words are very gratifying.
I'm all for gender equality. If someone's a waste of space, I'll smack them no matter who they are.
And of course, I'll pinch rude people no matter which gender they are.
Slowly, Leon reached out and touched the fragment. A moment later, Leon seemed to undergo a violent bout of dizziness and silently slumped over like a puppet with its strings cut. It was no surprise. When people who don't understand parallel universes have many different fates jammed into their heads, they tend to feel like their heads are swelling and their sense of self is melting away. Leon seemed to have lost consciousness. Yeah, I also thought that Leon was pinching Will. But no, not this time, because he was actually being very nice and pleasant throughout most of that. And, you know, being like, you probably shouldn't look at this, yeah. He's kind of right, I'm not gonna lie. At the same time, Leon has the right to know. So, Leon had... Excuse me. Hold on. Alright, let's try that again. Will's voice is killing me. I might swap to like normal voice for him in a bit because oh boy. Yeah, you would want to see your parallel universe yourself as well. Yeah, same. I wonder sometimes like if there's other like parallel versions of me, like what are they doing, right? Let's go, Will. We got this. So, Leon had what it took to learn everything. I hope it sounds less bad than it feels saying it.
The perfect piece to be your partner, wouldn't you say?
I'll continue my reasoning. I've talked about the dead cat.
Very true. Next up is the living cat.
The only one who can kill the Beatrice of 1986 is the one who created her.
There are tons of hints. If you think about it, they've been coming back. They've been coming since back when Beatrice was running the games.
That's true. In the fourth game between Beatrice and Balor, Beatrice's origin became clear. And, at that point, I learned who Beatrice was, and I understood that person's heart.
What do you mean by heart?
The reason for committing the crime. The reason that Beatrice had to gamble her own fate in the commission of a game-like crime on October 5th, 1986. The motive. The why done it, if you will.
Impressive. So, you figured out the whodunit and the why done it by the end of the fourth game. Then what about the how done it?
Once you know who the culprit is, theorizing about the how done it isn't impossible. Those linked locked rooms in the third game were so skillfully done, I felt like clapping.
And what about the riddle at the end of the fourth game? Who am I?
The culprit, who can kill you for certain at the stroke of midnight on October 5th, no matter where you are. It was possible to form a certain kind of a hypothesis at the moment that question was asked. You might call that the other treasure of the Golden Land.
Oh? So, you say that by the fourth game. In other words, with just Beatrice's games, you managed to reach all of the answers.
It's possible. Lambda Delta and Balor's games after that were just an extra helping of hints. As is this game of yours.
In that case, why don't you stop beating around the bush and just tell me? Who is the culprit?
At that moment, though there hadn't been anyone but them in the chapel, quiet footsteps rang out. That silhouetted figure slowly walked up to Will and Berncastle and gave a small bow. So, you've come.
Did you call this person here?
Yeah. Yeah. Who done it? How done it? And why done it? I understand this person's motive.
And you? Are you going to give up just because he's found out your motive? There's no concrete evidence, right? You could make a flashy fight of it with red and blue.
That's not what they want anymore. The person nodded slightly. Their wish was for someone to realize, now that this had happened, they had no intention of engaging in trivial excuses or pointless word games. I believe that I understand your motive, your heart. I'm going to talk about it now. I called you here to listen and correct me if I've gotten anything wrong. The two of them nodded to each other once more. I found the message you put into your 4 games, and through 3 games with different masters, I pictured the strange sort of fate that must have toyed with your life. I was left speechless. In every game, you die without revealing that truth to anyone. Having you confess in this empty chapel might be pointless. However, even so, I believe it will bring you some measure of salvation. People are only saved when someone understands them. It's time someone forgave this pitiable witch who went years after her death without being understood, and whose life ended before the one man she wanted to understand her could do so. At the end of the 5th game, Valor finally understood. However, it took him so long that he didn't make it in time. So, even though she is alive here and now, Valor cannot save her. That's why he's absent from Beatrice's funeral. He won't come. He won't make it in time. This is Beatrice's funeral. You will confess. The Divine Master will hear. And I will forgive you. That's supposed to be Balor's job, but he didn't make it in time. So you'll have to settle for me.
Beato gave out so many hints too. Lambda also gave that bonehead Balor a ton of hints. And his response, that game of repentance, that was hilarious as well. But I won't be making anyone laugh. I'll just indifferently carry out your funeral.
No more talking from you. That's my job. If you're ready, let's begin. No one will rush you. Burn Castle is closed off time for eternity, until your funeral ends. You have endless time to prepare yourself emotionally. The shadowy figure slowly shook its head. It had come here because it was already ready. Will nodded to show he understood. Then, the two of them looked into Burncastle's eyes, and Will spoke out clearly. Here is a culprit. Ooh. Oh, this background is really pretty. And that was a fancy transition too. I also love this song. This is great. It is a new character. You called it. It looks like no one you've seen before. Yep. Well, I mean, there's a little bit of Beatrice in there, right? I remember thinking when I first saw this character that I thought, oh, it's like a washed out Beatrice, you know? And she's even got the little butterfly. Or they, I guess. Berufegoru. Okay, interesting. Actually, yeah, there are a lot of overlapping design elements there. For both the demons. Alright. voice. I kind of had decided on something, but I changed my mind. Because it doesn't really make sense.
Let it be heard. I am one, yet many. What I speak is our tale. However, this is a small world, sealed by glass and cork, with no one to hear. None shall lay eyes upon it, and my entire tale shall be sealed away, set adrift in the sea of my heart, until it disappears along with the seaweed. Where is this place? And who am I? Then let me ask, where would you like it to be? Who do you want to be? Any place, so long as it will blanket me gently. Anyone, so long as I am treated kindly. Yes, for us. For us. Where and who we are hardly matters.
Did they just give her name away? This song's so good.
Indeed. To us, that is a very insignificant thing. At least, until that day comes to pass. Why must we be cast into a new fate? The pronouncement of fate arrives sudden and abrupt. It is not the fate that I wished for, but it did make the heart pound. Where will the new fate take us? It doesn't matter where, so long as that place is kind to us. The tidings brought to the temporary dwelling where unfortunate children without mother or father gather. Do they herald God's salvation, or does the devil beckon us to be the playthings of a new fate? We have no means of knowing, and yet we want to believe. We want to believe that it is gospel, good tidings, salvation offered us by God. But why would I be chosen? I have no religious beliefs. Then, this is not gospel. The devil beckons. And yet, we have not the means to resist fate. I am one, yet many. I pray that the new fate brings us blessings. The time is April of 1976, a month too cold to speak of spring. There is no change in this strange new land, whichever plagues us with its stale air and ceaseless breezes.
Act 1. A new life.
Those are all of the family rules. They may be strict, but I believe that the discipline you learn in this house will serve you well in the future. Yes, madam.
The servants who would start working this April all called out in unison. Oh fuck. Real quick. I have to double check. Okay. I didn't make a mistake there. Okay. The rules of the Ushinomiya family are no more or less strict than those at the Fukuin house. However, here, we get paid a lot of money. They also give us a lot of help in finding our next job. We work for the Ushinomiya family, store up money, use their influence to get a job at a good company, and start on a new, happy life. That was the dream, and it was a very realistic one, held by all of us at the Fukuin house. However, not everyone can become an Ushinomiya family servant. Only kids with a record of exemplary conduct and good grades are recommended. So, all of the kids who want to be sure of leaving the Fukuin house to live a happy life are feverishly devoted to their studies. That's enough for today. Tomorrow you start early. Make sure the lights are all out at the appropriate time. That is all.
Yes, madam. Thank you very much.
After bowing until Natsuhi was no longer in sight, the new servants all followed the lead of one of the more experienced servants and raised their heads.
Okay, we're done for the day. Starting tomorrow, you'll be following your shift schedule. Madam is very strict about time. If any of you sleep in, it'll be my responsibility. So if you do, I'll kick you awake. Got it?
Of course, this experienced servant was one of the older girls from the Fukuin house. She's been here for 2 years, apparently. She looks familiar for sure. That's probably why all the other new servants who are older than me seem to know her well. They all chatted noisily, saying things like, "Madam looks so strict," and "Dang, I'm tired."
By the way, just who is this? Who chose this kid to be a servant?
The older servant pointed at me and asked the room at large, a dubious look on her face. It's no surprise, really. Most of us become servants when we graduate middle school or high school. But I'm just starting elementary school. The others will be working as servants every day, according to their shifts. However, I was going to go to the elementary school on Nijima with Milady, only working on the weekends and when I had free time. It was an exception among exceptions, something that had never happened before. It was clear at a glance that the others, who had obtained their positions after a rigorous selection process, didn't like the fact that I was here too.
Both Madam and Genji-san have told me that you were to put your studies first, but you're still getting paid. Doesn't make any sense.
If you go to talk behind someone's back, at least do it behind them. She didn't even try to hide her discontent.
Is this kid really that smart? A child prodigy or something?
I know words.
Beats the heck out of me. I didn't know this kid at all in the house. They kept this one separate, apparently. Something to do with a weak constitution. Now that you're here, you're part of the collective responsibility system. If you screw up, it's the same as everyone from the Fukuin house screwing up. Make sure you don't, okay?
I nodded weakly. I'd never been threatened by someone this much older than me, and I was very frightened. Hold on, I have to rustle up my vocal cords.
Don't worry. I'll help you through. Let's give it our all together, okay?
Shannon smiled at me as she spoke. Don't you find it scary, Shannon? This house looks pretty strict.
No, there's nothing scary about it. It's only scary to you because that's what you think.
Then, if I think it's fun, will it be fun?
Yes, it will. So, just like before, let's put on a smile and give it our all. was my only friend at the Fukuin house. She was confident and popular. The complete opposite of me. I was embarrassingly dull-witted, and no one wanted to be my friend. I would never have made it through those days in the Fukuin house had it not been for her encouragement. So, I would probably make it through here too, with her by my side. Well, isn't it about time you got ready for bed? I've got work early tomorrow morning, but you have a different job. That's right. And like everyone else, I have to go to school. When I spend the night on the Rokujima, I have to get ready for school and wait for Milady at the dock. Milady looks like an energetic person. I hope you get along well. Do you think I will? I'm scared of school, nervous. I had grown used to life in the Fukuin house, so the more relaxed rules at school made life easy. But until I grew used to it, everything was new, and everything made me nervous. My new life in Rokujima probably deserves an explanation. It was completely different from the comfortable yet stagnant life I'd lived at the Fukuin house. In addition to the time I spent as a servant to the Ushiromiya family on Rokujima, I also traveled to the elementary school in Nijima on school days. It was the start of a time that was both rushed and busy, with hardly any time to relax. Unlike at the Fukuin house, I didn't get to sleep in the same bed every day here. Half of the week, I slept in the servants' quarters in the Rokujima mansion. I would return from school with Milady, go to the mansion, and work there as a servant. I would then stay the night and head to school with Milady again the next morning. On days when I didn't have work, I would return to the dormitory on Nijima, where I would have some time to myself in the room that had been assigned to me. There was an adult dorm mother who strictly controlled mealtimes and lights out, but I was already used to that sort of life from the Fukuin house, so it wasn't hard for me. The rooms were slightly larger than average and housed 3 people each. However, either because of the number of people or some lucky chance, I was not given a 3-person room. Looks like we'll share a room back here in the dorms too. Back here in the dorms too. With Shannon by my side, I felt like I'd be able to manage well enough. Correct. Every year, new servants came from the Fukuin house. Or just Fukuin house. I'm gonna skip the does as well. As a little reminder for why I'm saying Fukuin house instead of a gospel house, in the first 4 arcs, it was referred to as Fukuin house because of a different translation team. Well, no, there's a translation team that made edits to that translation from that team, for this mod that I'm using. And they kind of randomly changed some things around, like changing all the references to aunt to auntie for no reason. Even though that's very informal, especially for such a, fancy, rich family. And it feels very out of place. But Auntie Ava, yeah, no. So I've been skipping all of those and just saying Aunt Ava instead. And, yeah, same with Fukuin house, not gospel house. Though I think Fukuin does translate to gospel, so there's that. But yeah, we don't have to translate everything. We can accept that other languages exist. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, the word gospel does not come up in the questions arc. At all. It does provide a little bit of context to the intro of what a new character was saying, I would say, because while they might not have religious views, it's entirely possible that at the orphanage, they were taught about religion. Because, I don't know, Gospel House sounds pretty religious. Anyway.
Every year, new servants came from Fukuin House, replacing some of the old ones.
It was something Father organized with them all on his own. The rest of us weren't allowed to meddle.
Our family provided a strict upbringing for these children without relatives, and supported them on their path to adulthood. I always viewed this as the wealthy Ushinomiya family's obligation to society. What sort of kids came to serve the Ushinomiya family? I'm sure they were diligent, lovable kids of irreproachable conduct. Not content. It seemed to me that there were a lot of glaring hyenas among them.
Let us say they had high ambitions. Those poor children without relatives. They were determined to use this rare opportunity to launch their careers, so that they could take control of their lives.
Did all of them have to balance school and servant work? That must be tough. You wouldn't be able to get much work done. There has been no case of a servant going to school while they worked, except for that child.
To be honest, I was fairly surprised when that child first came to greet me. So, obviously young. The others were all around 16 or 18 years old, but that child looked almost 10 years younger.
The other servants who come from Fukuin House visit only to gain experience in working in the real world. So I do not expect a high level of skill from them as servants.
Very true. You can't rely on them to the same degree as an adult, seasoned servant.
But this was a child who hadn't even started school. No knowledge of housework, no practical experience, and yet to begin compulsory education. I don't know what Father was thinking, but I always thought there was something clearly odd about it.
I spoke to Father about it. I asked if it might be better to wait for our servants to graduate middle school before having them serve here.
And what did Kinzo say? Come on, we all know what he said. Oh, Beatrice.
By that time, he was already a complete shut-in inside his study, obsessed with the occult. If you tried to talk to him, he'd yell and tell you to stop interrupting the journey of his mind.
And Father's decisions are absolute. However, the case with this particular child just didn't make sense.
I even asked Fukuin House about it. They said to ask Genji-san. I then asked Genji-san and he said to ask the master.
And then you asked the master and he said, Beatrice! No one knows the truth.
Jessica was the only child on the island. The servants would often play with my daughter, but she wanted a friend of her own age. Someone she could play with at home as well as at school.
I began to think that Father had employed the servant out of pity for Jessica. But if that were the case, why wouldn't he talk to us about it beforehand? We should be the ones to decide which friends are suitable for our daughter. Scary. Natsuhi wouldn't cope well with taking her kid to the playground.
True, and also, like, when on earth has Kinzo ever been that nice? Let's be real here. Also, yes, that's a great. You're right. If someone's like asking you if you're available and you don't want to talk to them, just say, yeah, you're busy with the journey of your mind. Don't interrupt me, it's very important. We should probably view this as an arrangement planned by Genji.
Yes, probably. Genji-san knew that the me in this other world carried grandfather's blood, so he must have made special arrangement for that me to be brought to Rokkenjima.
Are you feeling okay now?
It was a really big shock, that's all. I just feel a bit dizzy now.
In the world we're in now, you're the successor. But if your world had been different, you could have been a servant, or maybe a witch. You do have a troubled fate.
Seriously. I don't regret learning about it, but if I could forget it now, I would. Isn't it interesting? Even though you're a servant, you're actually an illegitimate child of the head. Isn't that romantic? Like some fairy tale? Romantic? Considering how Mother must feel, I'm not sure about that. True. In Natsuhi's eyes, the Leon of this world is nothing more than the detestable baby she was ordered to raise. And this is also a world in which he refused that order. Natsuhi's natural child, Jessica, is hundreds of times more precious to her. A baby that doesn't share your blood is nothing more than a dirty, lukewarm sack of filth.
Have some decency. Next time, I'll be the one pinching your butt.
Thank you, well, I think I understand, more or less. This makes it all the more important for me to be grateful to Mother. She's raised me fairly all these years. Though at a probability so low it'd take a miracle to happen. You know, animals are always brutal towards children that don't carry their blood. Lions do that too, don't they?
That is literally not true, Burn, but okay. Genji's thinking must have gone something like this. This is a true member of the Ushinomiya bloodline. I want this child to live on the Rokkenjima, if at all possible. However, he couldn't suddenly bring Leon over and tell everyone everything.
I agree. Maybe he intended to have me live on the island until it became normal, and then reveal everything when the chance presented itself.
Same with elephants? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it happens, but there's plenty of animals and instances of animals taking care of, baby animals that aren't related to them, and in some cases even other species. Well, honestly, if you tell me that an elephant will fuck up another elephant baby, I would believe you, not gonna lie. But then, I'm pretty sure it's situational, that sort of stuff. Maybe there are species where it's like a given thing where they eat the children of other, like the babies of other parents. I think for the most part though, that's just not, it's just literally not true. But then, Berncastle's an old, she's a witch, like, I guess I don't really expect her to open a biology book. And kingfishers eat their own young. Which is an entirely different, situation. And I would argue that that's worse. But I guess not relevant here. I was thinking like, well, that kind of applies, but it doesn't. It does not apply. Anyway, biology aside. However, the Leon of this world was not given special treatment. Notably, the silver ring doesn't exist. I mean, still special treatment though, compared to the, the other servants. But definitely not special treatment compared to Leon. I wonder if that means that grandfather never heard about me. It might mean that Genji never found a good opportunity to reveal the truth. Genji must have wanted to someday tell Kinzo the truth that the child of his beloved Beatrice was still alive. However, revealing this truth would not be so easy. I wonder why it isn't easy. You dummy! What would happen if Natsuhi found out? Oh, right. If Leon suddenly appeared, Jessica wouldn't be the successor anymore. Strictly speaking, Jessica wasn't the successor to the headship, but since she'd be able to select the successor, it all came to the same thing. It is a tale that becomes less simple the more one learns of it. Some would celebrate my birth, others would not. Genji could only wait in silence for the day of revelation to come. Was it a tale hidden only within Genji's heart? Leon and Kinzo and Natsuhi and Kraus and Jessica and everyone else, none of them knew of this tale. Thus, the curtains slowly rise on this curious tale in the year 1976. I am one, yet many. Why must fate proceed so selfishly and freely, leaving us behind? People only found the young servant strange for the first month. Natsuhi and Kraus's protests came to naught. After all, there was no harm in it. So why not indulge Kinzo's whim? Eventually, everyone grew accustomed and began to accept this slightly abnormal everyday life. However, it was not so for the other servants of Fukuin House, who were always close by and who believed that everyone should be treated equally. As time went on, their little grievances about my special treatment began to accumulate. Good job, Sawachi. How'd it go today? Nana was in a real shitty mood. She literally ran her finger across the windowsills. Tadashi got chewed out for cleaning too slow. Like, what does she want from us? Fukuin House treats all the children under its care as family. Because of this, their original names are not spoken there, and everyone uses new, blessed names instead. Or blessed, I guess. Maybe because the character depicted is in the word Fukuin. And that character can be read as in, on, non, or ne. That character is almost always combined with at least one character from the child's original name to make their new name. Still, just giving a person a new name doesn't mean they'll accept it so easily. The boys and girls of Fukuin House, living without relatives due to all kinds of circumstances, often feel as though their real first and last names are a bond that's worth holding on to. So, many of the Fukuin children hate their blessed names and call each other by nicknames based on their original names. Of course, this is only privately. When in the presence of the house director or other important people, only the blessed names are used. On the job, the blessed names are used. And off the job, the informal nicknames are used. Everyone is very used to living with two names like this, so they're all naturals at switching between the two. You stink. Go take a shower. Dang, why is it so cramped in here? Can't they get a bigger dorm if they have that huge mansion? Hey, Garashi-san. Why is Yasu the only one who isn't in a 3-person room? By Yasu, they probably mean me. I can't remember my parents at all, but I was given the family name Yasuda. And apparently, my nickname comes from that. How should I know? Genji-sama's the one who decides the rooms. I don't like it either. Seriously, wouldn't you normally split it 2 and 2? What's the deal with Yasu anyway? It's like that kid's job is going to school with Milady or something. A school friend position? Doesn't make any sense. Of course, on days when I am given work, I return to the mansion right after school and work alongside all the others. I help out with caring for the garden and cleaning up the mansion. I can't do any jobs on my own, so I'm always just helping out. Maybe because I'm young, the adult servants are always kind to me. It seems my fellow Fukuin house servants are annoyed by this. Don't you think Kumasawa-san's being blatantly soft on Yasu? It's like she's mistaken Yasu for her own grandchild or something. And why on earth does that kid get paid the same as the rest of us? I don't get it. I realize that you have school to worry about, but don't forget that you're a servant too, okay? You need to stop being a helper and learn to do work by yourself like the rest of us. We aren't going to let you have things easy forever, okay? Dude. Wow. I have been trying my best. However, I'm not very strong yet, so I can't carry heavy things. I can't carry a lot of things at once either. I can't fold clothes right, and I'm not good at using a dustpan. I just can't do it as well as everyone else. As my face turned red, I spotted Shannon, who was watching from the sidelines and not joining in. Shannon is my only ally. Unlike me, she can do everything well. However, she'll never pamper me. She'll show me how things are done, but she'll never steal my jobs from me. She really is incredible. I really want to be like Shannon, as soon as I can. She never talks behind people's backs, and no one talks behind her back. She's kind and she gets along with everyone. I want to be like her. And she's always kindly watching over my efforts to become like her. Why did I end up here? I don't know. Though I'd just been muttering to the ceiling, Shannon gave me an honest answer. I guess there's no way to say it except that it's part of God's plan. Is this another test from God? Yep. Think of it as a test to help you grow into a wonderful person. After all, you're a special, chosen person. Am I special? Of course you are. After all, everyone else here is big, but you were the only one special enough to be chosen young. Why am I the only one who's little? I can't do any jobs by myself. Everyone complains that I'm just there to play with Milady. And yet, Madame made it clear that I'm not to think of Milady as a friend and speak to her in a casual manner. You may be 10 years younger than everyone else, but that means, if you keep it up until you're the same age as the others, you'll be much more experienced than the new people who come later.
Even Genji-sama will acknowledge your talents. You'll become a leader who can teach the new kids who come from Fukuin House. And then, I'm sure that everyone will respect you. By that time, even Madam, the Master, and Kraus-sama will acknowledge your skills. That's your future. You mean, like the ugly duckling becoming a swan? That might be it. After all, it was very unusual for you to be chosen as an Ushiromiya family servant. In fact, that rumor might be true, and you might be the secret child of someone in the Ushiromiya family.
Shannon laughed, saying, "Wouldn't that be cool? And then you'd be super rich too." But I felt a bit doubtful. After all, if that was the case, why did I have to live all alone in Fukuin House? Shannon and people like the house director were the only ones who would play with me. I wasn't allowed to play with any other friends, and I spent all my time by myself, in my isolated room. Maybe it's because I'm frail and always half asleep, but it's been lonely.
Hey, Genji! How much of this did you know? You never talk about anything, but you've known everything since the beginning, haven't you? Years ago, you heard from Natsuhi that a servant had fallen from a cliff holding a baby. You went to the bottom of that cliff and realized that the baby was still alive, didn't you?
The question of whether it was alive or dead was not one that I was qualified to answer.
And then who was? The doctor, of course. What do you say, Dr. Nanjo?
Perhaps it is fitting. Shall I speak? If you would be willing, then I ask it of you. Very well. I was contacted by Genji-sana immediately after the accident, and I was asked to conduct an examination in secrecy.
In secrecy? Why?
Both the Beatrice of Kuadorian and her child were unregistered people who weren't supposed to exist. It would lead to various problems if it went public. I had started the procedures to have the baby registered, but they were not complete at that time. It was a very bad time for the baby to die.
So, the servant who fell was treated as the only death. Natsuhi wouldn't talk to anyone. It would have been easy to set up. But that baby was still alive. Was alive, wasn't it?
Correct. Of course, the child was gravely injured. It was a miracle that it survived those injuries. If some angle had been slightly different, or if Genji-san had been any slower in bringing the baby to me, that baby only managed to survive thanks to a series of miracles. I had given up. I didn't believe the baby could survive.
But it did. How strong and resilient is life? No, this is fate. Fate. So, the baby was fated to live on and eventually accomplish something great.
Yes. I did think that it was fate. I thought the blood of the Kuadorian Beatrice-sama, whose life ended on Rokujima, must have imparted something onto this child to make it survive.
However, Genji did not tell his master, Ginzo, that the child had survived. He simply said that it had fallen to its death in an unfortunate accident. Kinzo mourned, but his mourning was more one of madness than of sorrow. Oh, Beatrice, why have you run away from me once more? Why, even though I'd swore I'd never make the same mistake again, why? There was one matter for which Genji did not trust the master he so respected. That matter was whether Kinzo would be capable of accepting Beatrice's grandchild as family. Genji had served the Kurodorian Beatrice for many years as well. He was very aware of what she had felt. He knew that she accepted Kinzo's affection and respected him as her father. However, her love was not the same as Kinzo's love. Kinzo thought her to be Beatrice reborn, and tried to use her to satisfy the many feelings he had felt for the late Beatrice. Of course, the Kurodorian Beatrice could not accept those feelings. In the end, Kinzo himself, the one she respected and thought of as her father, stole away her chastity. She thought he was her father and he thought she was his wife. Oh, what unmanageable, forbidden love.
I do understand Kinzo-sama's feelings to some degree. It is not as though Kinzo-sama saw the late Beatrice-sama in the girl at the time of her birth, nor did he decide at that moment to make her his plaything. He spoke to me about it a few times when we were drinking. I always thought he was just joking. Hey, Nanjo? Nanjo? What the fuck? What the fuck, man? Those aren't jokes, what the fuck? As she grew up, was he surprised to find that she looked more and more like her mother? As she became older, did he suffer from a forbidden emotion he could not suppress? I thought that the tragedy might repeat itself. That was my view. Exactly, Kat. Like, what the come on. This guy. Ugh. Like, I'm willing to forgive a lot for these characters because we do learn about them, like, as people, and you can kind of see where some of their ideas come from, right? Even the fucked up ones. But man, writing that off as a joke when you... I mean... Kinzo goes, like, more and more unhinged throughout the years, and at no point do you think, maybe not a joke, though? At no point do you think, plus, like, it's not a joke, it's not funny, man. What the hell? It must be the absinthe. Yeah. Beatrice-sama suffered much, and ultimately, she never truly understood the difference between her feelings and Kinzo-sama's. I spoke with Beatrice-sama many times, listening to her deepest feelings. However, I could not bring myself to tell her the truth. You also didn't consider helping her, I guess? I mean, I get it because he super respects Kinzo and he's like... like... weirdly respectful to Kinzo. And I get that, you know, you also don't want to lose your job, and you don't want to, you know, risk your whole deal, but too loyal is a very nice way to put it, I think. That's definitely like, I mean, that's a valid way to see it, I think, but you know, on the other side of that coin is like, he picked, you know, he picked Kinzo over a child who he was, you know, like his job was to take care of that child, right? And he just didn't, he just chose not to. But, you know, like with all of these things, the truth's somewhere in the middle, I'm sure. Plus, Kinzo's a scary man. But yes, that would be hard to say. Imagine telling her that the one she respects as her father wants to use her as a replacement for her dead mother. Najo, please don't. Let me say this for the sake of Kinzo-san's honor. He also suffered greatly. It pained him when he found that he could no longer think of his daughter as a daughter. I told him to love her as a father. I think Kinzo-san listened to reason and his conscience and fought for some time. You just told us that you thought it was just jokes. And now you're telling me that you had serious chats about this, or you gave him advice. Najo, I don't trust you anymore. Kinzo loved her. He poured his affection onto the daughter that Beatrice had left behind. He did so as a father. And yet, if so, why did he give the daughter the same name as the mother? Yes, Kinzo's sin started from the moment she received life. Beatrice gave birth to her and died as if in exchange. He passed the name down from mother to daughter. From the moment of her birth, Kinzo had already decided that she was Beatrice reborn. Thank you. At least someone's telling the fucking truth around here. To be fair, I mean, doctors are kind of drug salespeople in a white coat in a way. Just a really roundabout way. And we don't see him... No, we do see him saving people, because he helps Beatrice that one time, like the original Beatrice. So that's one. And, you know, his son vouches for him and it's like, oh, well, he was really well respected and he helped a lot of people at some point. I think he says something along those lines at least. And I'm sure he was a decent dude for the most part, but this is, oof. Not a fan of that. Well, hey, we don't have to let him off for, you know, the actual stuff he bucks up real badly on. Like, to a degree, I get why, because Kinzo's also stated to be like really charismatic, and you know, the same way that Balor is described, like you can get people to agree with him and stuff, and people really like him. And yeah, there's also a big theme of like acknowledging things or like noticing things and then not acknowledging them, right? Like there's a lot of people in this story that just sort of turn a blind eye to a lot of things they shouldn't be, or they know they shouldn't be really, because they don't want to deal with the truth. And I think that's the case here as well. And I do think they were, you know, genuine friends. And you wouldn't necessarily want to admit that your friend is capable of stuff like that, right? So I kind of get it, but also, Nanja, what the fuck, man? Gets killed by Belphegor twice in the... Which one's Belphegor again? I always forget the sins that the stakes are related to. For the longest time I had this theory that those were all like meaningful in some way, and then I kind of gave up on it. And yeah. Because I kind of, I started out with a theory that, you know, this is punishment, these people are, it's targeted and aimed at the people who are dying. Which, as we learned in episode 4, I believe, not quite true. Yeah, like, if you asked me 12 years ago, I would have been able to tell you exactly which stake that is. But not right now. I'm also just taking a quick break to rest my voice a little. I'm still, you know, talking, obviously, but with my own voice, which helps a little bit. Wait, no, so, okay. Lucifer is pride. Leviathan is greed. No, envy, not greed. Satan is wrath. Is Mammon 4? Mammon is 4, I think. Mammon is Mammon greed? Oh, then Belphegor is sloth, because Asmodeus is lust and Beelzebub is gluttony. So it's sloth, which actually, you know, actually pretty appropriate considering that he just kind of didn't put the effort in that he could have to help, you know. He just sort of decided. I mean, that's a fit for Genji as well, I believe. I personally feel that way, but Genji tried, at least. Like, he did some stuff. It was very misguided. They were very misguided attempts to help, but he did try to help, so I guess on the other hand, not so appropriate. But, yeah. Genji's one says he feels pleasure from submission. I mean, that would explain a lot. That would explain a lot. Wait, really? Oh my god. Yeah, no, that explains a lot, actually. And Lucifer's pride, yeah, that kind of fits. I really have to look into that old theory again, because there might be something there after all. Okay, I think I'm good to go for a little bit longer. Oh, nice. Well, thank you for sharing your notes. That's really interesting. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. And then... So you line it all up and you try to figure out the motives. And then episode 4 crashes in with... Gotcha, it wasn't about that at all. There was a bigger motive the whole time. I love this story, it's so good. Okay. Alright, break's over. Let's go. Leon, in other words, is what happens when Kinzo, trying to atone for his sin, succeeds in bringing the child into the Ushinomiya family officially.
Exactly. I get the feeling I'll get my butt pinched if I talk about other fragments, but maybe there's one where Leon is accepted, and Kinzo commits a tragedy. Who knows? I'm gonna see if we can find it. Who would want to see something like that? Is it your job to mix together the worst imaginable possibilities for every part of a person's life and laugh at their horrible fate?
Unfortunately, that's the sort of demon she is.
Which, thank you.
I think you might want to replace the W with a B. Genji foresaw that worst of all possible futures, and trying to secure a better future, he intentionally lied about the baby being dead.
Right. Kinzo was a man of such burning desire that he took advantage of his own daughter. Genji, who knew Beatrice's feelings and felt sympathy for her, couldn't trust Kinzo so easily.
Even Genji, Kinzo's most devoted servant.
Genji is a man who can draw a clear line between the professional and the personal. While he served Kinzo faithfully, he also felt that the mistake Kinzo had made with his daughter was not one to be forgiven easily.
Probably. And to make sure that Leon wouldn't be found out easily, Genji lied about the kid's age, lowering it by 3 years.
You're right. In this world, I'm just entering elementary school in 1976. I was actually supposed to become a 4th year then.
If your frailness wasn't the reason, then Genji must have been careful to disguise the year of your birth. The baby from 19 years ago was unforgettable not just to Kinzo, but to Natsuhi as well. If a suspiciously young servant of that age came to the island, Natsuhi's feminine intuition would definitely have picked up on it. Had the child been too sick to go to school for 3 years? Or had the age been faked so that Natsuhi wouldn't figure everything out? Either way, we know that your age has been lowered by 3 in this world.
Correct. The age of this world's Leon has been altered by 3. This is a small, feeble kid we're talking about. An underdeveloped kid. Seems it was surprisingly easy to fake. Genji thought he should wait and see. In the end, would Kinzo be able to accept Beatrice's child as his offspring, or not? He had the child live in Fukuin House until a suitable age, and then summoned the child to the island as a young servant. Neither father nor child knew the other. Genji's thinking was as follows. If Kinzo truly did possess the affection of a parent, he would notice traces of the late mother and daughter in this child. They would surely be able to regain their parent-child relationship without the truth needing to be revealed to anyone. That was his belief. Or perhaps the time might come naturally. When that happened, he could tell the truth to both father and child. Believing that this day would eventually come, Genji told nothing of this to anyone. He watched over Beatrice's child, waiting for the fated day. And time continued to pass. Days slid by as he quietly watched over Beatrice's child. Oh. That's the ending of a chapter. Act 2. The First Friend. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna call it here then and save that for next week. Because the story is awesome and the things are gonna be interesting, as always.
Thank you for the save reminder also. Yeah, I think this is a good stopping point, because that was also like a boatload of information, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a big reveal. And at this point, yeah, you should have... Well, should, you know? No. You shouldn't anything. If you're like, I have no idea what's going on, that's okay too. But you could, at this point, have a pretty solid idea of what's going on. And who exactly we're talking about here, and how it all ties together. And that's exciting. If you do know, oh my god, everything gets so sad. There's a whole layer of sadness here that you don't get until you figure it out. So, oof, that's gonna suck for me reading this, because I already know how it all ends. And things are gonna get worse. Oh well. Yeah. We're really getting into, you know, the thick of it, and the story behind the story in a way. And I can't wait until this is all like... I don't know, I can't wait till we get to the rest of it. The meat and potatoes of the game. Yeah. The heart of it. In a way. Though the real heart is... Oops, I just hit my desk. I hope that wasn't loud. Sorry about that. The real heart of the game is the question arcs. Because that's like, you know, the challenge, like figure it out from this, and that focuses on Balor and Beatrice, and that's, you know, the real heart. And then here it's like the, hey, so this is what happened. And we get, you know, motivations for characters, we get some behind the... some of the stuff that happened around the question arcs. You know, the setup for the question arcs, which we're getting retroactively, which is really cool, I think. Like, the structure and the way the story is told is really fascinating to me. And it's so well done. And I'm reading Loopers right now, which is by the same author. And you can really tell that there are some similar themes. There are some things that he clearly considers really important. But I already forgot what those themes are. But yeah, I'll get back to you on those. It's my brain is fried, it's late. And yeah, that's the interesting thing there, right? With the question arcs is because I agree. When I first read all this, I would never, not in a million years would have concluded what it actually turns out to be, or any of the many mysteries. But when you read back, it's right there. It's staring you in the face the whole time. And that's really the fun part. Like, you can actually reread this and see it in a whole new light and enjoy it for that reason. Which I think is, yeah, that's what makes this game so good. This is part of what makes it so good. And yeah, I suspect that the author had, you know, the end game in mind before, and is just working up to it. But I don't know. He does a lot of interviews, so I'm sure that's out there somewhere. I'll have a look. But yes, yeah. when this is all over and done, I want to do a little, like, not recap, but like, we can go over some of the hints that were there that you might not have picked up on, and we can talk about the themes, because there are a lot, and all the stuff that's I don't know. Yeah, I think I want to do like a long, like, sort of just chatting stream where we just talk about Umineko a bunch. I might make it an art stream and do some, try to work on that gap picture. One day I'll finish it, I promise. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap things up before I lose the ability to form sentences. For my sanity and yours. And I'm good. I saved. I can quit the game. And I can play you some outro music. Is that working? Yes, it is. Alright. Well, I'll see you again next week. Reminder that there is no Monday stream next week because I'm taking a short break while I figure out what to stream next and just take a little bit of extra time for myself. But we will be back next Wednesday with more Umineko. Part 6 of Requiem of the Golden Witch. We're going through it pretty quick. Time is just flying. And thank you. Thank you for watching as well. Thank you for being in the chat, Cat, and thank you for anyone lurking. Thank you for watching the VOD. You know the drill by now. I hope you have a great night, a great day, great rest of your week, and see you next time. Bye bye.